Hello everyone. Will we will wait for 2 to 3 more minutes so that other people can join. Okay, I think we are good to start now. Okay, so there will some couple of updates first. Yesterday, I have kept everyone on unmute, right? So everyone can ask the questions. So, but today, everybody will be on mute by default. And if you have any questions, you just need to type so that I can see here and every question will be answered. Okay, so there will nothing like I will leave any question. Okay. Second update that yesterday someone was asking like suppose if someone is not so good in core Java, so how they can get this course, right? So what we can do, we can provide you some recorded Java videos which you can refer, and that videos are like very good and they've explained well. So I think those videos will be helpful for you and you can easily understand this research or API tested course. Okay, so let me start today. So I think in the first session I have completed till like we have seen the difference between REST and API and web services, and I have also covered like what is different between web services and web applications, right? So just to summarize it again, so just you can see that when we load any particular URL or website, right? So we see so many network calls when we inspect it, right? So that means one web application can be developed using, or one web application can use multiple web services, and that web application may use any third party web services as well. Okay, so the difference is like web service is something like they provide some data or they provide some information, and a web application uh, can give any interface to see that particular information. Okay, so that we'll see that how generally when we develop any web services, right? Or suppose I am a company who provides the web services to perform something, right? So some what they can do, what do you call that, any other company who they will consume those API or web services, and from that response they will create one UI so that anyone can understand, right? Suppose if you are using Facebook, right, and if they show the response in JSON or XML, right, so no one, not everyone will understand, right, and it will not look good as well. Okay, so web services is something which gives you data, which may give some data or may perform some operations or actions, and that web services responds with UI, we can call it as a web application. Okay, and the last point is important here, B2C and B2B, right? So B2C means you have developed some web services like consuming by some UI, right? Come some other UI. So you are seeing the information on UI. But B2B means I am providing only API or web services for others to use it. Okay, like Facebook, they are providing some login API so that MakeMyTrip can integrate those API just to get the user on board on MakeMyTrip. Okay, so that is B2B. But suppose there's some internal applications like Facebook has only created so many web services and everything is not exposed. They are building their own UI there, right? Facebook UI. So that is again B2C. Okay. So let's get started with something API design models, right? So we have learned what is API, what is web services, right? And so generally these API web services can be created in using mainly two communication what do you call that systems, right? So one is SOAP and another is REST. Now you see another new term GraphQL as well. Okay, so nowadays more than 71 APIs, 71% APIs are developed using REST, and GraphQL is also improving, or it is being in demand. Okay, so means that if there is any legacy system who have been developed like before 10 to 15 years, so generally you see the SOAP APIs there. Okay, but generally all the latest APIs are created using the REST or GraphQL. Okay, so for this particular training program, we will mostly cover on REST. Okay, so just the full form, like what is SOAP? So simple object access protocol, and REST is something representational state transfer. So we'll see some basics about this terminology in the slides. Okay, so okay. So suppose what is called something protocol, right? Like suppose uh, like to perform some action, right? So there may be some set of rules which you need to follow to get it done, right? So suppose you want to take admission in a college, right? So to take admission in college, you need to fulfill some requirements or fulfill some criteria, like you should have some, suppose that previous college or school's living certificate, you should have completed that previous any class or course. Then you should have some ID card, also you should have some particular age. So those are protocols, right? Those define some set of rules so that only you can go into get the admission in the next class, right? So similarly, we have SOAP. It also defines protocol, right? It defines the protocol how two API or how two things can communicate with each other by using a medium. Okay, so that it defines like how that medium will be. Okay, so generally in the SOAP we see only two HTTP method, that is post and get. But generally maximum SOAP request will see as a post. I will show you that later. One example of SOAP API. Okay, so you can see the first line like a messaging protocol specification for exchanging structured information over mainly HTTP. So they define protocol like how two things can communicate each other. Okay, and it's only supposed post and get. There's no other HTTP methods, and we'll come to that what is post and what is get. But post something to create a new resource, or get is something like when you are trying to retrieve something, retrieve some resource information. Okay, but in so majorly everything is post. To create a resource, to get a resource, to delete a resource, to update a resource, everything is post. Okay, and support and SOAP only supports single message format, that is called XML. There is no other message format. Okay, and allows client to invoke web services and receive response independent of language and platform. That is the advantage of using API. Two systems or two applications can communicate with each other without bothering what are the technology stacks they are using, right? If one application is developed using Java or some other is developed using Python or some other language, they don't bother about that one. Okay, so they can communicate, okay, without bothering about the language and platform used. Okay, so we can use some different protocols as well, like SMTP, TCP, UDP, other than HTTP, because those are other different protocols. And these are called mature and secure because they have so very well advanced integrated. Let me, I got one question. Okay, so let me finish this one, then I will explain that one. So they have integrated some so many security mechanism inside. So generally SOAP is considered mature and secure as well. Okay, and usage are declined where because now REST is there, GraphQL is there. So and those are providing so much flexibility to develop an API, because in SOAP you are restricted that you can use only post or get, or you can use only XML as a message format, right? And it is not simple as well. Okay, that's why the usage are declining. So I got one question, let me see what is that. uh, Soumya, you have not connected to audio, I think. That's why I'm not able to unmute you here from here. Okay, I don't know where. Soumya, can you speak now? What question you have, or you can type in the chat box only so that I can get that question. I don't know. Okay, okay, okay. So Ankita is asking, can you please explain the protocol, right? So protocol is again some set of rules they have defined. Okay. So in SOAP, if you go, if you are a developer or you are developing an API, right? So you should have all the information like how what are the protocols are defined inside SOAP. Okay, so those because we are not going to develop any API, so the basic knowledge of like what is the main feature or main protocol are provided by SOAP, so that should be enough for us because there are so many things inside, right? So you are needed to know all those protocol and implementation if you are going to develop any API using SOAP. Okay, because when any developer develops that API using SOAP, so you'll get one endpoint, you'll get the resources, you'll get the how to pass the body, and you'll get everything. So you only consider about those things. Okay, okay, so I think it should be good. Okay, so there are some terminologies used for SOAP. So one famous is called WSDL. Okay, so let me show you the WSDL directly so that you can get to know what is used WSDL actually. So let me show you that. So if you there will is very less open soap based APIs, but if you see it, so there's one famous one called calculator. Okay, so if you see this is ending with question mark visitor, right? So it represents that it is a API created using soap. Okay, and how the soap is working, if you see here down, so then this visual shows that whatever operations it can perform. Okay, so let me show you that what are the other operations can perform. Okay, so okay, from here you can see binding, mainly from binding. Okay, so if you see this binding, so we have one operation, two operation, three operation, and 4 operation, right? So this particular calculator SOAP based API can perform 4 operations. Okay, means API means again something, it is giving you some set of functionalities which it can perform, right? So this particular calculator visual can perform 4 operations called subtract, multiply, add and divide. So this is defined within a visual document. Okay, and generally developers gives you this particular visual document only. So I will show you that how we can use it. But okay, so what I will do, if you copy this, and there's one tool called SOAP UI. Okay, so SOAP UI is a API testing tool which can be used to test both REST and SOAP APIs. Okay, so you can download the SOAP UI from its official website, and it's too easy to download this. Download and install the SOAP UI like any normal Windows software, or if you're using anything. So SOAP UI Pro is the paid one, but you can use the SOAP UI open source. Okay, so once you download and install it, you can easily launch it using this. Okay, so let me launch it, and I will show that how it passed the visual, or how you can see all the operations listed. So till it will take some time to launch, so I will take one question here. Let me see what is the question. Can you see any structure how SOAP request look like? Yes, sure, I will show you that. Any example of SOAP that I am giving. If you Saurabh Vasudeva, if you have attended something yesterday's demo, so I've explained that there is difference between web services and API, right? Or web services. Web services or API is a part of microservices. It's not microservices one box, a small box where you may have multiple web services. Okay, so yes, you can take that one also. So what are these protocols? SMTP, TCP, UDP. So there are so many set of rules. If you want to go, you can say that SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay, so you can like if you go to this wiki page, so you can get the set of rules like how this protocol are defined, or what are the rules are inside that. Okay, and then okay. So how the code logic integrated to the API, how to perform mathematical calculation. So in yesterday class, I have shown you like I created one method called sum, right? And I can call that method anywhere, right? So that was within my project itself. But some, if I want to give that particular method to some other project or some other team, generally what I can do, I can export that project as a jar, or I can upload in a Nexus. Nexus may be a common repository like Maven, where you can download it from that. Okay, or like something called, we have Docker Hub, right? From where you can download the images. Similar kind, we can upload that jar file so that anyone can use it, right? So that we need to expose it, but internally they have logics written to perform some specific set of actions of functionality. So I'm getting so many repetitive questions like why we need protocols. Like I've explained that protocol is something set of rules which you need to follow to perform to get something, right? Like if you want to work with Selenium, okay, so what is the first thing you need to have? You should have some ID where you can get this one, where you can integrate Selenium in your project. Then you should have basic knowledge of any programming binding which you are using with Selenium. Then you should have some web application through test. You should have browser installed. Okay, so those are also like something protocols, right? It should be there. That is the meaning of protocol. Okay, so let me start with some basics of like how digital parse it. Okay, so let me delete this one. Okay, so what I will do, I will go and I will copy this digital. Okay, this particular digital defines like what are the operations it can perform. Okay, so just click on soap from here, or you can go to file and you can go for new soap project. Okay, and paste the digital here. Okay, automatically to take all the project name. Okay, and when you click on OK, can you see that it lists automatically all the operations? These operations are defined where? Here, subtract, multiply, add, divide. So all those four operations are automatically passed well in SOAP UI. Okay, and when I will go and I will click, when I expand any operation and I click on request, I can see that it accepts a XML data, like because some addition. What I want to add, like in yesterday class, I have shown you that to add two numbers. So it is not like that you always need to add two and three. So it should be user specific, or user can pass that those two numbers, right? So here to add two numbers, they are they are giving one request payload, which is actual term, which is in XML format, where you need to pass two numbers. Okay, we can see the int a and b with the question mark. Okay, if I pass int a as 10 and another as 20, and when you see this green button, right, this is very similar to run button in mini IDE, and when you click on it, we see the value 30, right? So this is the way someone has created one utility called sum. They exposed it using USDL. Okay, I, as a tester using the SOAP UI, I just exported the WSDL. I can see the operations and I can test it. It because I'm testing as a tester, but someone can integrate this particular services to their application, and they can show some UI where you need to type a and b value in some input boxes. It will show the result. Okay, because they have integrated this API to their UI. Okay, but here when I am testing API, then I am directly passing or putting the values within the request. Okay, so it's like suppose if I go to divide again, I will see some XML request. This is called XML actually. Okay, so we have X path, right? Similar kind of thing. Here we have the main header, parent header, SOAP env. Then again we have header body. They have defined, this is the like SOAP protocol, like they need to define these are the headers, this should be there. Okay, starting from SOAP env or SOAP some other things. So these are defined protocols, right? They need to have in the request body. So let me give another one 10 and maybe divide by 5. So what I should get? 2, correct? So I'm getting 2 here. Okay, so generally many people define the SOAP as a complete. A later we put in a postcard, sorry, we take a postcard and we put inside a envelope, right? So that is generally complete one SOAP. That's why I see one kind of envelope here, because that's why it's called more secure, because whatever information you have, that is placed inside a envelope also. Okay, so I think I am able to explain this one. Okay, let me show. Okay, so again I got some questions. Who writes WSDL, developer or BA? All it's a obvious, like BA only will give the requirements. Like I want to create one web services which needs to perform these type of operations. Okay, so developer will create those things, API using SOAP or REST, and they need to expose it. Okay, they need to expose it. Okay, so that is exposed part is WSDL. Okay, okay. Envelope consists application URL for which we are testing API. No, envelope can contain so many other things also. Okay, here can be contain so other because this is simply tag, and we can have multiple attributes because this is simple API. But if you see any real SOAP or SOAP based any API, so you can find other things also. Okay, it's not like that you can have only one attribute or two attributes. Okay, so let me show you these things. Like someone says that many people think that uh, we soap based API we can test only using SOAP UI, but that is not correct. SOAP UI tool can be used for both REST and SOAP. And Postman another API development tool which can also be used for API testing. It allows you to test both REST and SOAP. Okay, so I've not explained the installation of SOAP, sorry, Postman, but let me show you that how can you test the WSDL in Postman. So again, I got some questions. SOAP here since shown in new window. Yes, if you see this right hand side, you see the results. Okay, and this may be changing in different new versions of SOAP also. But yeah, whenever you hit the request, you'll see the response at the right side. When we say we have exposed web services, that means we have exposed digital right. Yes, that is the way of if you have created any API using SOAP, that means you have, if you want to expose it for outer world, right? So you need to export in a format that is digital, and there's something called UDDI where you need to place it. Like we have Maven or we have NPM, right? Where in the Maven we have the Java libraries there. Anyone will can go and search the Selenium or TestNG library and they can add in their project. Similarly, NPM where we have JavaScript packages and you can search and download or put in your project any JavaScript library from NPM. Similarly, here we have UDDI where you can publish your visual. Okay, body has some business logic for the functionality to perform. No, body request body will have some data. Like suppose when I created called methods, suppose, okay, let me take one real time example. Like suppose someone has created one method to read a data from Excel file. Okay, so if someone wants to use that one, they just need to pass the values like which Excel file or which sheet from they want to read the value. They don't bother or they don't have any logic where when they are using. They just need to call the method and they need to pass all the required steps, and it will be automatically fetch the value for you. Okay, so request body will only expose whatever inputs it needs. Okay, and based on those inputs it will give you output. Okay, so there are so many questions, so I will explain. So what I was, where I was, like I will test this particular visual using the Postman. What I'll do, I will go simply, I will copy this visual. Okay, some visual, some with SOAP based web service you will see with the extension WSO. So that is also fine. You can get that one. So in Postman, what you need to do, just click it here. Okay, and just load it, right? And any soap based API generally they are mostly post. Okay, so get the post here. Okay, and there are two things you need to do. First thing, in the header, I will not explain the how to install Postman or what are the headers, but just for the demo purpose I am showing you that here in the soap by default it opens in the XML format, right? So here also it will not automatically identify which format you are sending it. So you need to set the content type. Content type is something which says that in which format you are sending, and this will be text hyphen XML. Okay, okay, and in the body you need to pass this type of body, right? So you can when you pass the digital you can get this type of body. Okay, so just click on row. Okay, and when I click on send, so it give me value 2. right? So here, if you see the soap, you see all the operations separated here, right? And whenever you are clicking on any request, you see the exam multiply, right? This says that what operation is going to perform. Okay, but in Postman you will not see every operation separated. Okay, it will decide what you are sending in the body, request body. Here I have set the exam operation divide, that's why it is performing division. Okay, so based on what, how you're sending or what you're sending in the request body, it will perform the operation for you. Okay, so that's why in Postman testing a soap service is a little difficult, because you will not get this particular type of body from until unless you use some visual parser. Soap has inbuilt visual parser, that's why you can see all the operations listed individually here. And whenever you click on any particular operation, you can see the request body as well, which you can use in Postman, right? So that's why in Soap UI you can test the Soap based API easily compared to Postman. But that is not correct. That Soap UI, which consists of the word soap in here, that is only for the soap API. No, soap UI and the Postman both can be used for both REST and SOAP based API. Postman also supported the GraphQL. I'm not sure whether SOAP US supports or not, but yeah, Postman supports all three. Okay. So let me see the again some questions are here. So Ahmad Jubair is asking, what are we trying to achieve here? Are we connecting any two items or checking any wave element? So I'm not sure what question you are asking. So let me unmute and you can ask now. Ahmad, can you ask now? What is your question?
Actually, I was asking, what actually are we trying to achieve? What is the purpose of doing all this thing? Are we trying to add something, or checking or connecting to web services, or web-based application? What actually are we trying to do through this web elements and through the waste element? What is the purpose of this thing? Like find element has a object, so does WSDL has something like this?
Have you attended yesterday's session?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I think there I've explained like why we need something called API or web services, right? So here, if you see this one, someone exposed their what you call utilities like add or divide or multiply subtract, right? Which anyone can use. Okay, they can integrate this particular web services in their UI. So to show some user interface to user where they can enter their first integer, second integer to get the any arithmetic operation result. Okay, so generally
Okay,
web services are or API are developed to provide some services, right? To perform some operations so that other can use it. Okay, or it can be used internally also.
okay, got
Okay.
it, got it.
And Saurabh Vasudeva is asking also, can we get the recording for yesterday's session? Yes, after the demo session, whenever you, if you confirm that you are going to join the you are going to join the batch, then you'll get all the session, all the recorded sessions. Dipti is asking, hello. I think you can't see my question, so let me unmute Dipti also and ask, because there's so many questions are coming. So Dipti, can you ask your question now?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. I got it. Can you just explain one time the usage? Because that time you said that, like in the previous slide, that it will be uses the usage. Actually, I didn't attend yesterday because there was a time communication gap. So I spoke to Rahul and Rahul sent me the recording. So I've gone through your recording, but just a moment before you explain about the uses, I'm just a bit confused. Like, what the meaning of your uses is you're telling. And the other thing is over here, like, in the, so we got all the data. Can we pass this data through the Excel? Like, suppose I want to do, like, I have 10 sets of records and I want to test divide functionality, and there's different sets of data. Can I directly link that data can
Yes,
be
you can
directly from Excel,
see
or do I need to?
data can be parameterized well. So it's not that every request you need to have hard-coded data. So you can parameterize the request in SOAP UI also, in Postman also, and Dataset also, whatever the main thing. So actually with SOAP UI we are not going to cover in this, but for the visitor purpose I have shown you here. But when I will start the Postman, there I will show that how can you parameterize your request or in this episode. So don't worry about those things because those are future topics. And the
Okay.
second first question was regarding usage. So like can you again explain like where you see that usage, or you are asking me that where we are using web services?
No, no, I know the web services, but in your previous slide, you mentioned about the uses. I couldn't get the concept about the uses. What does it mean? I think it's before that.
Okay,
Yeah, the
usage
last
at
slide.
line. Okay. So this is like in nowadays, maximum APIs or web services are developed using REST, which is again architectural design, and GraphQL, which is again new thing. Okay, so maximum APIs are developed using REST and GraphQL, not the SOAP. Okay, that's why I written that usage are declined. No one is using SOAP nowadays. Okay, so that is the meaning of that usage are declined. Okay.
So, I mean, you're telling us that we don't use soap anymore, is it?
Yes,
Is it
yes.
happening?
Mostly we don't use, but if you see some any traditional systems like older banking applications or some other things, they are still using SOAP because it is not easily like it is not possible to migrate everything in very shortly, right? Or easily. That's why they are still using SOAP, and they are parallelly developing some REST API just to replace that SOAP. Okay,
Sure.
but in mostly wherever you go you'll see the rest only, because I
Right.
in when I started my career in 2012, so there I've used the soap. Okay, but after that I've
Mhm.
never used soap, everywhere is the rest. Okay.
Oh,
I
so
think
just another question. So, is it Swagger is also used as
yes,
REST, correct?
yes, again that is
Okay.
documentation, so many companies manage that one too, because see you need, like suppose you want to taste something, right? So you need some accepting criteria, or you need some document that is called requirement specification or SRS or BRD, which says that what actually the client is expecting from that functionality, right? If I give you any API and you don't know like what to taste in it, okay, or when you're exposing your API for other person or other company to use it, you need to say that what you're going to provide using this API, right?
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
you can mention using some Swagger, or there are some other tools also where you can easily maintain your documentation. It's like kind of Java doc, right? We have Java
Oh,
doc where every method are explained like what is done by this particular method. So you can use Swagger for that as well, because it will it like it is proper API documentation. Okay.
okay. Sure. Because
Yes.
at my work, I use the Swagger and they gave me the Visual to export, like, yeah, the way you said that the functionality. They give us the functionality and then we can manipulate it. Is it the values coming correctly further in
Correct.
the downstream?
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe those
Okay.
digital will be older one, or still if your company is more concerned about security, so they may be using SOAP, because I said that SOAP is very much secure. Okay, very much secure, and many banking applications are also using SOAP nowadays, because that's why I said that 70%, 30% are still using SOAP. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Please go on mute if you don't have any other question.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So don't worry, I am getting so many questions. So if I start giving an answer for each and every question, then I will not able to complete the slides or the topics. So, but I will answer everyone. Don't worry. Okay. So I think I am able to clear that you can test the SOAP based API using SOAP UI and Postman both. Okay. And what is the difference? Like in SOAP UI, you can see the operations well categorized, like you see the here, right? And you can see the request body also fine. Okay. And okay, in the Postman you don't see those type of thing. Whatever request body you are passing, it will perform operation based on that. Okay, fine, perfect. So let me go to the next slide. Okay, okay, so I explained what is UDDI. It is something like Maven or NPM where you need to upload your visual. Okay, just to know others that okay, I have exposed something or some soap based web services here. Okay, that's why. So these are two visual which you can practice. Okay, this if you see this here, let me open this particular digital file also. And if you see here down, if you come, okay, so generally binding you see, right? Okay, this binding you see. Okay, so these binding we see one operation. Okay, these are generally which is listed like add or delete, sorry, add, subtract, like this one only. So suppose if I will export this visual in SOAP, it will list all the operation this particular visual can perform. Okay, okay, can you see this add integer? We see the add integer, right? Divide integer, we can see, right? Or find person, get by name. So everything listed here, just need to click, pass the if you click here, like suppose find person, okay, request one. So they have somewhere in database or server, they have some person details stored, and every person will have some ID. So if I pass ID as one, it will give me a person whose ID is one. Okay, this side Newton Dev something something, it has like home address and all. It's kind of Facebook, right? You give your username and password, then your details are shown at the home page, right? Not the other person details, because they will be using some key or value pair, right? So that they can easily identify like which person belong to this particular ID. So here also, if I pass the ID as 2, then I should get the another person detail. Okay, we can see some other name here. So this is something called web services. I'm not bothering like where they've been stored or how they're fetching the person details to me. I just need to pass the ID and I will get my person details. So this is done by your API or web services. Okay, so let me go to, okay, so there another question. Okay, so protocol basically support the HTTP, but you can use another protocols also. Okay, so if you like if you remember the basics of networking also, so they have defined different type of protocol to perform this one operations. Like to sending a mail, we have SMTP. Okay, and there are some different other protocols also. Okay, so that depends upon like what actions you're performing, and for every action there are some different protocols defined, or you can use any. Means not any means it should be related. Okay, if you are transferring the, if you want to send the mail, you need to use the protocols related for the mail transfer, not something called file transfer. Okay, or something called FTP. So you need to always use the related protocols. Okay, and let me go to the next slide. Okay, then we have SOAP UI. SOAP UI I've explained that the installation very easy, and it's not like that if you are using REST, so you need to use only REST service, any Postman. No, it's not like that. You can use the SOAP UI also. But in SOAP UI, it's a little difficult there because to you to parameterize or what do you call it, to save the request. So the thing is little difficult, which very easy in Postman. So which we'll see because the Postman SSO is the main component of this particular training. Okay. So we can see this SOAP is again open source web services and they have the paid version as well. And Postman also have the free and paid version. Okay. And you can use the SOAP UI to test both SOAP based and REST based APIs. Okay. And okay, now we come. So SOAP is done, right? So we can develop the web service using SOAP also. And there's another thing called representational state transfer, that is called REST, which is more famous now. Okay, so let's compare something like in SOAP we have only two HTTP methods allowed. Okay, post and get. Okay, and there we have only one message format called XML. Okay, but in REST they removed that limitation and they say that you can use appropriate HTTP methods like get, head, post, put, patch, delete. There's so many. Okay, and every these HTTP methods represents something. Okay, I will explain that what it represents. Like if you want to perform some specific operation, so which HTTP method you should use. Another thing, REST doesn't say that you need to follow these things like SOAP. REST only gives you recommendation that if you follow these protocols or these guidelines, okay, then your API will look much better. Like in Java also we have some set of rules like you should declare the variable like this way, or you should name the package in this way, your class name should be like this way, it should be meaningful. But if you follow, then you are following some standard. If you're not following, then also you are not going to get any problem. It's like that only. REST only gives you like you should follow. There's no it you must need to follow like so. Okay, that's why REST gives you flexibility to develop APIs. Okay, so again, when you develop any API, so REST actually gives you 6 points. If you follow those 6 points, out of six, one is optional. But if you follow those points, then we can call that as a RESTful web services or RESTful APIs. Okay. Okay, so again, it's something called architectural constraint because it is giving some 6 points, six architectural constraints so that you can develop any API. Okay, and the performance is much better than compared to SOAP. It's reliable also because it is also secure. Compared to SOAP, it's less secure, but it's not that it's not secure. It is also secure. Okay, and again, I got some questions. Can you get this PPT presentation only if you join the classes? Postman is only for manual test of API testing. No, you can perform the automation testing also. And one thing, Postman is not only API testing tool. Using Postman, you can develop the API. Okay, you can monitor the API. Okay, you can mock the API. There's so many things you can do using Postman. So Postman is not only the API testing tool. Pratibha Pavan Sarangi. Okay, let me unmute you. Patit. Patit Pavan, can you ask your question now?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Are you able to hear me? Okay, sir. Like SOAP, you have given that WDS digital file, and you got the result in that. What is that validation window? Like you gave the addition, like 1 + 2 you have given, or divide you have given. So the result is coming another window. So what is that validation window we are telling in SOAP?
That is not validation window. That is called the response window. Okay, when you hit this request, you get the another window inside there where you can see the response. Okay, this is called response window. That's all.
Okay, okay. Response window, that is.
Yeah, because this is request. And okay, so
Okay.
when I explain the client server architecture, right? So when you open the
Mm-hmm.
browser, right, and you type the Facebook URL, okay, that
Mm-hmm.
means you are requesting, or your browser is requesting something from Facebook server, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how you're
Okay.
requesting? By giving some username and password, and username and
Mm-hmm.
password will go to your server, and if that account exists, it will give you the response.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Okay.
that is request and response. That is also called client server architecture, where your client is your browser and you are asking some data from Facebook server. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Sir, like
that's
client, like we're giving any response. So how the data is coming, like server data is there, suppose for a new user or existing user. So how the data is transmitted, like from client to server, like any middleware will be there, no? So how they are communicating?
this is the thing. This is the thing. Like when see, actually you see the Facebook UI. Okay, any
Hmm.
normal
Hmm.
person can understand that UI. When you type your username and password, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
at the middleware or backend, some request will be created in some format like JSON, XML, whatever format it may be, and it will go and
Okay.
hit the server, because server don't understand your Facebook UI. It will understand some format like this type of request body. Okay, and when
Okay.
that server gets the request, it will return you the response, which you can parse it. Okay, if I
Okay.
want to
Okay.
if if I integrated this particular web service with UI, I will not show the XML there. I will create one very good UI user interface where I will see the name is this, SSN is this, DOB is this, like that. Okay,
Okay.
so this is middleware part only. We are doing the middleware part only. When you
Okay.
integrate
Okay.
with your API, then it may sorry, with UI, then you can get some beautiful user interface where you can go click, see everything, copy paste whatever you want to do. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Got it.
fine. Okay, so please be on mute if you're not asking any question. So let me go for further slides. Okay, so again, I said that more than 70% APIs are developed using REST. Okay, so these are the 6 constraints which are given by REST, which are not mandatory to follow. Okay, but yeah, if it is good if you follow it. Okay, so first thing, like client server architecture, same thing. You are requesting, you as a client are is requesting something from server, then server will give you some response. Okay, then that is called as a client server architecture. That is very common term which we have seen in our colleges and schools also. Like request something, you will serve. Like if you go to any restaurant, okay, if you go to any restaurant, you gives your order, okay, you gives order to who, uh, waiter there, right, and then you will serve with that whatever you have asked for. That is also like something client server architecture, or customer or restaurant architecture, right, where you are requesting something from restaurant to give you, right. So if I will explain these points very little, because you will not understand, because we have not done so many practicals. But yeah, these points will be more clear when we actually perform some actions, perform some live things or testing. Okay. So generally we have statelessness, right? So what is statelessness means? Whenever you are as a client, you are trying to request something from server. Okay. Server will not store any data. Okay, server will not store any data. Okay, like uh, suppose you are using Facebook, okay, and you have logged in to Facebook in one system, okay, and you go to another machine or another laptop, and there if you try to access Facebook of your account, you need to give your credentials again, right? Then only you can access it, because Facebook server is not uh, like saving that, okay, you have logged in this system, so I will allow you to for other system also. No, if you want to log in with other system, you need to give your credentials again. Okay, so that's why there is no statelessness. There should be no storage or no saving of state. Okay, then cacheability. Okay, so this is very common thing, like suppose when you are loading the same web page again and again, so sometimes it loads faster because there's some cache in browser, right? And that's why if something is not working, we generally say clear the cache, so that it will refresh and it will be loaded again. Okay, so at the client side, client means browser side or whatever is requesting some information from server, they should be able to cache the response so that it can load faster. Okay, and then no need to hit the server again and again. Okay, fourth point is called layered system. Okay, layered system means we are simply talking about the client server architecture, right? One client, one server, but there may be many system in between. There will be one system like which will check whether this is not a fake request or fraud request, or if it is proper request or not. There may be many layers between. When the client requests something from server, it may go from multiple layers before reaching to the actual server. Okay, so it's called layered system. You should not have everything. Now also there's one point, like you can have different, you can divide or you can distribute one operation into multiple parts, and you can store those parts in different servers also, not everything at one place. That can also come under layered systems. Okay, code on demand. I think, have you heard of applets, Java applets, which when you it gets into the client machine downloaded, and then you can use it. Okay, it's kind of thing, code on demand, and this is optional constraint given by REST. Okay, so suppose when you hit something or when you are requesting something from server, so server, can you give a lines of code which can be executed in your means at client side. Okay, that is called code on demand. Okay, another is called uniform interface, means in the REST everything is considered as a resource, which I will show that what is actually resource. Okay, so let me explain this part. We have heard of Google, right? So this is Google. Fine. If you do Google Map, okay, okay. So we see Google dot co dot in slash maps, right? And if I do the Google News, okay, we see them the news.google.com. Okay, it means that there's one this news or this map or some other things also are actually resources. Okay, in Google server, on Google server we have different resources. Okay, or let me uh, leave out everything, is thinking about some with respect to different uh, applications. So okay, suppose I'm developing one application, developing something like suppose e-commerce. Okay, so I will have one module where I will store all the user information. Okay, and another module where I will store all the products information. Okay, so this is product information, and another modules I can have where I will store something called sellers information, right? Okay, whoever is selling product on my machine, sorry, on e-commerce platform. So these are actually called resources, individual resources. Okay, so when you are developing something API, okay, so means you should have some URL like google.co.in, and you should have different resources. Okay, like user information, product information. You see this one, like suppose if you open the Flipkart, right? If you go to Flipkart, which again e-commerce website, and if I go to groceries, right? Can you see this one? This is grocery supermarket store. This is actually one resource. This is called base URI, base URL, and this is called resource. Okay, if I go to some, suppose if I go to electronics, right? Suppose I go to mi. Okay, this mobile is again one resource. Okay, using the same, you have one URL. Okay, but you have different resources which are located, and when you are using slash mobiles or slash grocery or slash electronics, so you're going to that particular resources, and there may be multiple sub resources as well within the resource. Okay, like this is one mobile, this is main resource, inside that we have mi brand, this is sub resource within mobile. Okay, so that's why the point is here, uh, uniform interface, but there may be many things with respect of this, but yeah, this is like everything should be identified as resource, and it should be accessible using some URL, right? Or URL plus resource combination, that which is called URI generally, where your resources are located. Okay, so let me take some questions because I got it. So can we rest assured for project which is not built on Java? See, whoever, whatever language they have used to develop the API, okay, but they will give you some endpoints. They will give some this common format, like whether it will accept XML or JSON or HTML, or it accept everything. Okay, they will give only those information. You are not bothering like what language they have used to develop the API. Okay, you can use the REST-assure. REST-assure is something called Java based testing API testing tool. Okay, there are some others also which you can use it. Okay, it's not like that if it is not built in Java, if the API is built in Java, then only you can use the REST assured. No. Okay, because REST assured tool just to hit it. In the Postman also, it will just simply hit the API. It is not bothering like what is the stack, technology stack they have used. Okay, so what is the difference between URL and URI? So generally in common google.com, right, that is generally we can consider URL, and when I use with the resources like maps or news, we can consider the URI. Okay, but that is interchangeably used. Both URL and URI both are generally same, or generally we call it as a endpoints. What are the endpoints? Okay, then going forward we'll give assignment. Yes, obviously we'll give. Then SOAP UI is good or Postman is good for testing the REST API. Okay, so both are good actually, but it also depends upon the company to companies, because many companies use the uh, paid SOAP UI Pro version. If they are using, then you need to go for SOAP. Otherwise, Postman is very easy, and many companies are using, because if something you are getting in free, why you will pay for that, right? Because Postman version is providing so many things. Okay, then do we need to learn JSON as well? Yes, we need to learn the JSON as well, because we need to parse it, because maximum REST API are using JSON as a message format. Okay, so don't worry, that I will cover. I will cover some basics of XML also, and what is the automation structure we follow in this course? So I didn't get the exact what you are expecting, but okay, I will unmute you some after some time. Are you going to use Postman also to do parameterization, sending multiple sets of data from Excel? Yes, it's suppose the data driven testing. So those things will be covered. Those things will be covered. Don't worry, because those are the major parts, major concepts which you need to know. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, you told about soap and rest. Sir, can
Hmm.
you tell the basic difference? Like we got, but if you'll more clarify on that so that we can
Based
tell
on, sorry, come again. Which one?
uh, what is the difference between soap and rest?
Okay. So generally, I've created one table, which generally it is frequently asked in interview also. So let's see. So okay, so just to remind whatever we have learned actually. First thing in the SOAP, we saw that only one message format is allowed. That is called XML. Okay, in XML format only you can send the request to server. Okay, you see the int a tag, int b tag, something, right? But in the REST gives you flexibility to send the request in multiple message formats. It may be your HTML, it may be your JSON or XML, or it may be simple file type as well. Okay, that is the flexibility in the REST. Okay, but mostly they are using JSON because JSON is very easy to parse. Okay, then we have only post and get supported in SOAP. Only post and get, and mostly people are using post. Okay, but in this they give you a set of HTTP methods which we can use for different actions, which we'll see in the next time. Like what are the actions? Like suppose if you want to create a resource, use the post. If you want to retrieve a resource information, use the get. If you want to update as a whole, then use put. If you want to update some fields, use patch. If you want to delete a resource, use the delete method.
Sir,
But again,
can you repeat once again? Get means like you told, like to get the information or
get
retrieve
the
that
resource
information.
information. Get the
Put
resource information.
put updating that information.
Put is to update.
Okay.
That will
No,
come like what I put and patch in detail. So that I'm just giving some basic information. What is the meaning of this type of thing? Hello. Sorry, I was disconnected
yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, so
Actually,
that is the
was
thing.
not able.
I will explain everything in that what is the HTTP methods and why they are used, everything in details. Don't worry about that one.
Okay, okay. Sir, you have
Can you
mentioned
please
like good.
explain? Yeah,
Hello.
come again. Yes.
Here you have mentioned like good for a distributed enterprise environment for SOAP and point-to-point communication REST. Like what exactly?
Okay, so generally SOAP is considered more secure. Okay, they have inbuilt security mechanism inside. Okay,
Okay.
so if you have something called like some part of, you have not stored everything in one server at one place. You have distributed something. Means some part is on this server, another part is another server. So they may be server to server communication also, right? So to make
Uh-huh.
it more secure, you can go for SOAP. Okay,
Okay.
and if you want to point, direct to direct, but it's not that REST cannot be used for distributed. But yeah, REST is also secure, but generally if you have distributed systems, then you can go for SOAP, or REST is also fine. It's just a comparison, like if you want to select which is more better for this distributed system, then you can use the SOAP or REST. That also depends upon how much cost you are going to put, because SOAP is costly also.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the basic things like protocol. So it's an official standard because SOAP says that you need to follow this type of things. Please be on mute if you're not asking any more question.
Sir,
And this is just, yeah, please.
yeah, for for both the post and get, we are using SOAP and REST also. Here you have mentioned like HTTP is not mandatory. Here HTTP is mandatory for REST. Like
Yes, because in SOAP, if you are hearing properly, then I've said that in SOAP you can use multiple protocols like HTTP, then you can use SMTP, FTP, there are
yes, yes,
also UDP
yeah.
also, right? But in
Okay,
REST,
okay,
maximum things are happening on HTTP protocol.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
That's why I say that use of HTTP is not mandatory in SOAP, but in this it's kind of mandatory.
Okay.
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 And the first point again, SOAP defines that you need to follow something. Okay, you need to you mandatory need to follow these points. But in this, that is not mandatory. That is only guidelines, constraints. If you follow this, then you can develop a better API.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and then stateless but can be stateful, and complete stateless means server will not store any information. I given the example of Facebook. If you are logging into one system, that doesn't mean that you can access it from any other systems. Okay, so I think it is good. And these are generally interview perspective. They ask based on what is so versus this or some what are the constraint. So I can give you some better some PDF or some links where you can go, and if you want to deep dive, you can go and understand there's so many points. But from the testing perspective or whatever went to go learn basic information of what are the constraints and what is different between SOAP and NIST, those things are enough. Okay, so Saurabh Misra, okay, let me unmute you. Yes, Saurabh, you can ask your question. Hello. Hello.
Hello? Yeah,
Yes,
I
Saurabh, you
just
can ask.
want to ask, like, can we use Rest Assured for doing contract testing?
Okay, so that is again related to microservices. Okay, and uh, I think you should be able to do that one, because that context testing is generally used for what do you call that, with the terms of microservices, right? So again, they are exposing some services only for the to perform any operation. So I think you should be able to use it. Or I am not sure on that one. Maybe I can give you answer in sometimes, but I think you should be able to use it. But contact testing is generally related to microservices. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So fine. So let me go for the next slides. Okay, so Pratik is asking, like, can you please explain the code on demand? Okay, so this is kind when you request something from server. Okay, if you request something from server, then you can then server can you send one lines of code which can be executed in your machine itself at client side. Like if you have heard of Java applets, which are generally running on client side. Okay, so that type of things is called code on demand. A server can send some lines of code on demand to client. Okay, fine. So let me go to the next slides and then I will answer other questions. Okay, so let me go for the session 2 side, because this should be started today, but okay, fine. Okay, so okay, so let me see that how much we can cover here, and because last 15 minutes we'll give only for the uh, doubts, right? Okay, so okay, so from now everything we will talk with respect of REST only. Everything we'll talk about with respect of REST. Okay, so generally you heard the term CRUD everywhere. Maybe you will be hearing like there are some CRUD operations or APIs performing CRUD. Okay, so generally CRUD is acronym for create, read, update, or delete. Okay, so let me draw one picture for you so that you can. Okay, so suppose this is Facebook server. Okay, Facebook server. Okay, and here they have details of one user, two second user, third user, multiple user detail they will have, right? Generally, suppose when you are coming, you are a you heard of Facebook and you're very interested to create and join a social media. Okay, so here you are here and you have opened the Facebook page. Okay, and then you are giving you want to create you want to get yourself registered on Facebook, right? Kind of you cannot directly log in, right? Because you don't have any account. So what you need to do first, you need to get yourself registered. Okay, so create new account, then you need to come here, you need to pass your first name, last name, everything you need to pass it here, right? Okay, so what will happen actually when you pass all this data? Okay, so okay, so what will actually happen? I am not clicking it. Okay, so let me draw it here. Okay, so let's think that this is the your Facebook server. Okay, Facebook server. Okay, when you come and you want to have your Facebook account, right? So you'll give all the details like whatever needed for to create a account on Facebook. So what will happen? This will go to Facebook server, and Facebook will understand because this request initiated using the create an account. So Facebook server will easily identify someone is trying to create a new account on Facebook. Okay, so what they will do, they need to create one account, right? So they will create it, they will create it. Okay, they will create it. Okay, now you are very happy that you have created one Facebook account, right? Now you want to just don't just forget that you automatically gets logged in. But yeah, suppose you have created one account, you know your username and password. Now you want to logged in into Facebook. So what you'll do, you will simply enter your username and password, right? Username and password. Okay, and you'll get your home page, right? Means this particular first operation dot create, which is something like one new account is going to be added in the Facebook server. Okay, one new account will be created on a Facebook server, because generally that is called create, that is create a new resource or create a new sub resource inside resource. Okay, or create a new user in the Facebook server. Okay, and when we get it, like once you create the account, you are trying to log in again using your username and password. That means you are trying to retrieve the details, retrieve your details. Okay, that is something called get. Okay, so if you are developing, if Facebook server developed some API which will create, if they are using REST, then they should use it as a post. Okay, because post is responsible for creating a resource. Okay, and get is something to retrieve the details of resource. Okay, that is again constraint, that is not like hardcore rules. Facebook can develop a REST based API, okay, which will retrieve the details of user, but they are using HTTP post methods. Okay, it's not mandatory that they need to use get only, but ideally to create any resource, use create. or if you want to get the details of that resource, use the get. Okay, now suppose uh, after some time you think that someone knows your password and you want to change the password. Okay, that means you are trying to update one particular information or some particular informations in from of your resource of your user account. Okay, okay, so here suppose you will pass what you want to update. Both are same person only, just for here I created. You want to update some details, right? It may be a profile pic, or it may be your password, or maybe your name, whatever you want to. That means you are trying to update something, right? So there you can use put and patch, two type of HTTP methods. So what is when we put and patch, that I will explain. But yeah, for updating you can use put and patch. Okay, and now after some time you are no more interested in social media and you want to leave it. Okay, that means you want to delete your data from Facebook server, then you can use the delete HTTP method. Okay, so Janet, these are again rules. These are rules by given by REST, that if you want to do any kind of operations which like falling under CRUD, use this type of HTTP methods. Okay, so let me take some questions if we have. Sir, you mean create means post? Yes, post is responsible for creating a resource. So yes, then can you discuss about the time? So Amal, I think we can take at the last now, because I think we should ask the question which is related to this technical discussions. Okay. Yeah, I know that there's next class, so I have only 8 minutes left. Please unmute me, Saurabh Misra. Okay. Okay. So I will. Okay. Fine. So let me go for further slide if you have. I have only just 5 minutes. So I think I am able to explain what is the CRUD operations. So these are again some rules which we should follow to create better API, REST-based API, but it's not mandatory, because many company you will see that to delete a resource they are using post. Okay, so let me go in little more details. So quickly, so we have something called post, right? So post is one HTTP method which is generally uh, used to create a new resource on addition of new resource. Okay, so like okay, something called status code. Okay, like suppose if you go to office, right? So many company will have some format like you need to come in formal on weekdays, except Friday, and Friday you can accept any this one, any casual dress. So that is something called dress code, right? Which represents some information. Or suppose you when you uh, going to any event, so you see some volunteers in some different color of tag, or some in different colors of tag, or participant maybe in some different colors of tag they may be wearing, right? So that is generally telling that what actually it represents. So when in the API world also, they have defined some stated codes which says that actually what has happened, and if you are throwing this particular status code, then actually what should have done. Like when you're creating a new resource, then API should return you a HTTP status called 201, okay, which is generally represents that we added a new resource in the server. Okay, but that again, this is the rule, this is not mandatory to follow. You may encounter some APIs which is responsible to create new resources, but they are returning 200, which is okay. Okay, but yeah, ideally you should, any post API should return a status code 201. Okay, so let me complete the get. So again, get is something when you want to retrieve the details of the resource created or resource present on the server. Okay, if it is like happy thing, means you the resource is available on the server, then you should get the response with the code 200. Or suppose if it is resource is not there, when you're trying to log into Facebook when you don't have any Facebook account, then you'll get the 404 not found. Okay, or 400 bad request means suppose you are giving the wrong username and password, then it may be bad request, or maybe you are passing only the username or only password, okay, or empty one. So those comes under bad request. So anyway, I will explain those status code in details, and when we encounter these status codes, so automatically it will remember for you also, and you'll understand also in which case we are getting it. Okay, so I think I will stop now, and from next session I will continue for the different another stative methods. And let me see if I have any question. Okay, okay, fine. So I don't have any other questions. So if you have any question, you can always mail to Rahul, and we'll happy to reply you. Okay, okay, fine. So I will be closing this session now. Okay, thank you everyone.